see you.
Call to order the 7th meeting of the State and Local Government Committee. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Herron. Senator Maiden. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Mills. Senator Rawlings. Senator Tishner. Vice Chair Elkins.
Present.
Chair Nemes.
Present. Please silence your cell phones and don't be too loud when you're singing for whatever reason you might. So we're going to start with HJR 15. If you'd like to introduce yourself and begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Shane Baker. I'm State Representative for the 85th District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Petrie, House District 16.
You've got the floor.
So there's a long history and tradition of public monuments and displays that acknowledge the role and the significance of the Ten Commandments they played in our nation's history. And if you've read HJR 15, it really tells a story. And it goes back through the history of the monument itself, some of the legal history, and it goes into the history of the Ten Commandments in our nation. In 1971, the Fraternal Order of Eagles donated a monument. It's about 6 feet tall, about 4 feet wide, a granite monument inscribed with the Ten Commandments. They donated it to the Commonwealth, and it was displayed on the Capitol grounds until the 1980s. And at that point, it was moved into storage due to a construction project and was never brought back out. In 2000, there was a joint resolution that passed the General Assembly and was signed into law by Governor Paul Patton. That a court prohibited the enforcement of that resolution from bringing the monument back, and they returned it to the Fraternal Order of Eagles in Hopkinsville. Passage of this resolution would restore the monument to the new state capitol grounds. I just want to share just a little bit of the legal history with you. Just make a couple points. They're really significant to this piece. In 2005, in the Van Orden case, the Supreme Court upheld the exhibition of an essentially identical monument at the Texas State Capitol. That was just a few years after the case here in Kentucky. In 2022, the Supreme Court upheld the right of Coach Kennedy to pray on the football field after a football game. And in that decision, they said the shortcomings of Lemon had become so apparent that this court long ago abandoned the Lemon test. The case in Kentucky was the Adlin case, and that at the circuit court in that case said, while we have recognized the individual Supreme Court justices have expressed reservations regarding the Lemon test, we are an intermediate level court and are bound to follow the test until the Supreme Court explicitly overrules and abandons it. They abandoned the Lemon test in the Kennedy case in 2022. So the Supreme Court has cleared up the legal issues and made history and tradition the standard. Returning the monument to the Capitol grounds is historic restoration and acknowledges the history and tradition of the Commonwealth and our nation. This resolution basically does three things. It directs Historic Properties Advisory Commission to retrieve the monument. It directs them to return that monument to the state capitol grounds and place it in Monument Park, then to simply maintain the display. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Motion on the motion.
Second.
We have a couple questions. Senator Herron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for your work in bringing this bill forward.
I just have questions or concerns. One, I want to be clear that I am a Christian. I grew up in the AME church, still attend church on a regular basis. I think that my concerns is that us posting something like the 10 Commandments, how do we ensure that other religious institutions or beliefs are have a presence here at our capital? So I'm just curious as to why specifically the 10 Commandments, and if we were to do something like that, what are we going to do to ensure other religious like Buddhism, Muslims, other faiths has a presence here at our capital?
Well, thank you, Senator Herron, for the question. So this resolution is not about religious displays. It's about returning an historic monument to the Capitol grounds. And, nothing in this, or, anyone's welcome to, if they so desire, to go in the future and file bills or resolutions in that vein to do exactly what you're talking about. But that's not what we're trying to do today. And I'll defer to Chair Petrie if he has any comments on that.
Good question, and we received some of the same questions or issues in the House. As Representative Baker has indicated, this doesn't exclude others. This deals with a particular historical event relative to a particular monument with particular reasons that endured or suffered through a particular set of Supreme Court cases and tests that over decades become obsolete and recognized as such and should have been from the very beginning. This particular item, this particular subject matter, and this particular resolution comes after that change in those tests, and it does not prevent anyone else from bringing something forward. But I would indicate, or just make sure that we're clear, we have abandoned, abrogated the Lemon test, and now we're looking at historical practices and historical understandings of things as opposed to religious. So if there was something that were brought forward in a subsequent resolution, it should be looked at in that same sense.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no other questions, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Chambers Armstrong.
May I explain my vote, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
I'm going to vote no today. I also am a person of faith. However, I read the resolution. There was a lot of really helpful information in there. Thank you for that. And I also read the underlying legal cases that it cited. And it does not seem as clear to me as it is to you all that what we're doing here would fall within the bounds of the new legal test. And so I worry that we're opening ourselves up to litigation that could be very costly. And I think there's a lot of legal uncertainty. I recognize this is a very fast changing landscape. So appreciate your all's work. I'm going to be a no for today. Thank you.
Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Herron.
Pass.
Senator Maiden.
Aye.
Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Mills.
Explain my yes vote.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I just think that the Ten Commandments are, a historical document that's almost become a kind of a secular code of conduct, and I think it's very fitting to place them here at the Capitol. Thank you.
Senator Rawlings.
Aye.
Senator Tishner.
Aye.
Chair Nemes.
Aye.
8-1-1.
The measure passes 8 to 1 no to 1 pass, and should do so also on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Committee.
Thank you.
Now we have House Bill 462, sponsored by Representative Dietz. Let's see, she's not going to be here. She's unable to be here. I think I can handle it real quickly. It's just so that marriage documents can be done by the county clerk. Has everyone read the short bill? Any questions? I see no questions. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Herron. Senator Maiden. Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel,
Aye.
Senator Mills, Senator Rawlings,
Aye.
Senator Tishner, Chair Nemes.
Aye. Passes 10-0. Favorable expression. Expected to do same on the floor. Now we have House Bill 6, sponsored by Representative Williams. Introduce yourself, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to, my name is Wade Williams, representative from 4th Legislative District. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for hearing the bill. I know there's a lot that you have to go through and a lot of that you have to pick through, and I appreciate you picking this bill and hearing it today. So, Mr. Chairman, what I want to talk to you a little bit about today, and before I get started, also, I'd also like to thank Senator Nunn for his work with me on this bill. We're trying to get a good product out on both sides, and I appreciate his efforts in working towards that. So, Mr. Chairman, Kentucky administrative regulations contain more than 122,000 restrictions. Kentucky's the 23rd most regulated state in the country. The regulatory environment determines how a state thrives or fails to thrive, from corporations to small businesses to farmers to individual taxpayers. Everyone feels the impacts of regulation on their daily lives. Regulation overreach can slow job creation, hamper investment, and prevent economic growth. Overregulation is essentially a hidden tax. Too often, important, costly decisions are made in Frankfort not by legislators who are elected by their constituents, but by unelected, unaccountable government officials. And it is a tenet of our constitutional republic that our elected representatives of the people make the laws that we live by. Executive agencies do not have the inherent authority to issue rules that carry the force and the weight of law. The General Assembly has that authority to set the boundaries of lawful delegations of that authority. And that's what this bill does. House Bill 6 would prohibit administrative agencies from issuing rules that impose an economic cost of more than $500,000 in over a 2-year period, with several exceptions. An imminent threat to public health, safety, or welfare, prevent the loss of federal or state funds, necessary to meet a deadline established by federal law or federal regulation or state law, necessary to comply with a final order of the court, relates to the licensure and regulation of health facilities, and that's our state health plan. This policy is proactive instead of reactive, and it's different than a committee review of regulations where legislators only suggest that a rule is deficient. So House Bill 6 will rein in the agencies and the government officials by adding important new guardrails under the process the state agencies must follow when they wish to institute costly regulations. Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to field any questions and ask for the committee's
Motion on the
support.
bill.
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just curious. My understanding is it prohibits regulations that have an impact of $500,000 or more over 2 years. So let's call it $250,000 per year. What percentage of regulations fall above that threshold?
The LRC ran. Thank you, Senator, for the question. The LRC ran the numbers for 2024, the last full year, and we found about 12 that we tried to make sure we caught them all. If you really dive into those, it really drills down to about 6. And of the 11 states that are doing this so far, that's about an average between 5 and 10 that we find that meet this threshold.
Thank you for the answer. That's really helpful. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no other questions, we have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Chambers Armstrong,
May I briefly explain my no vote, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
I'm really grateful to the representative. That's a much lower number than I was expecting. I'm still a little worried about the regulations would be prohibiting the cost if we need to call this body into a special session to approve a regulation that would somehow fall outside of this. And so I'm really worried about us tying the hands of the government when the government needs to act. But I will say I'm surprised at how low that number is, and that's given me something to chew on before we get to the floor. Thank you.
Senator Elkins,
Aye.
Senator Heron,
No.
Senator Maiden,
Aye.
Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel,
Aye.
Senator Mills,
Aye.
Senator Rawlings,
Aye.
Senator Tishner, Chair Nemes.
Aye. We have 8 yeas, 2 nays. House Bill 73 passes with favorable expression. Should also on the floor. House Bill 6, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Now we'll do House Bill 73. Introduce yourself, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I am State Representative D.J. Johnson, 13th District for Davis County.
James Tipton, State Representative, House District 53.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Alicia Sells with We Lead CS.
So, Mr. Chairman, we're actually coming to the committee today with a 2-for-1 special. We actually have House Bill 73, which was amended by Committee Substitute 1, and House Bill 73, the original. I'll talk about that very briefly, and then I'll hand off to Representative Tipton to talk about the committee sub that he added into it. So House Bill 73, as amended by the committee sub, does 2 things. The first thing that I'll talk about is a group called We Lead CS. It's an educational group in Kentucky, and there are several educational, administrative, and support agencies that provide services to our schools and are also members of the Kentucky Teachers Retirement System. The first 4 pages of House Bill 73 is a list of those agencies. We Lead CS is one of those service providers, but you'll see on page 4 that it is not included in the current list of member providers. While We Lead CS is in the Teachers Retirement System, they are not allowed to directly administer the retirement program with TRS, as are the other service providers. House Bill 73 corrects this oversight by adding We Lead CS to the list of agencies that administer their own retirement programs. That's all there is to Part 1, and I will hand off to Chairman Tipton.
Thank you, Representative Johnson. Of course, Representative Johnson and I both serve on the PPOB. I know Mr. Chair and Senator Mills, Senator McDaniels, you all have experience on that committee, and we ask a lot of questions on that committee. If you're looking for an exciting time, we are meeting at March 24th at 2 o'clock. A lot of great information, but what the committee sub I added to House Bill 73 deals with, it would direct the Teachers Retirement System actuary to give us some additional information on the percentage of the unfunded liability that each employer of TRS holds, and that's really all it does.
Mr. Chairman, subject to your questions, that is all we have to present.
We have a motion and a second. I see no other questions. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins, Senator Herron, Senator Maiden, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Mills, Senator Rawlings, Senator Tishner, Chair Nemes.
Aye. We have 10 yeas and no nays. House Bill 73, correct? Yep. It's passed with favorable expression and should do so on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Is there, seeing no other things to talk about, we are adjourned.